Welcome, everyone, to Beyond the Brandywine,
where we wander, wonder, and occasionally get lost in Middle-earth. I'm Angela.
And I'm Kelsey. Beyond the Brandywine is a cozy, curious, and occasionally chaotic journey through the stories of Middle-earth.
Join us as we laugh over the odd bits of lore and follow tangents like hobbits chasing second breakfast. We're here to explore the places where the map fades and the questions get weird.
So, Angela, how do you feel about wandering into a cave today? It's dark, it's damp, and there's something lurking in the shadows arguing with itself.
Does this something also like riddles and raw wriggling fishes?
Indeed it does. That's right. Today we're diving into the creature Gollum.
Or Smeagol, or whatever version of him is currently winning the internal debate.
Well, speaking of versions, part of what makes Gollum so fascinating is how differently he's been portrayed over the years. In today's episode, we're going to look at his many adaptations through film, radio, and more.
I had no idea how many adaptations of Lord of the Rings and Hobbit existed until I started researching for this episode. And I've got to say, the depictions of Gollum in each one were so varied.
So varied, but there are some interesting commonalities and influences, which I think we'll get into. And he's a multifaceted and multi-faced character, to be sure.
So whether you know him as a tragic figure or a creepy cave dweller or Andy Serkis' masterpiece of motion capture.
Yeah, grab your lembas bread, avoid any rings lying about in caves, and join us as we explore one of Middle-earth's most complex and potentially controversial characters.
Let's get to it.
I sent you on a bit of a rabbit hole with this one when you hit me up and you're like, hey, where should I start for the Gollum episode? And I was like, oh, man.
I was like, I know you are like the queen of all these different versions of things. I'm like, oh man, I got to check that out. Mm-hmm. So I was like, Kelsey, give me the list of every version, I said of Gollum out there, but then you sent me pretty much all these versions of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
And some
so I had a busy
not
2
quite
weeks.
Either of the two, given some of the interpretations.
Yeah, which we'll get into. It's been fun, though. Really fun. And I gotta say, I think our starting one is the earliest version. And also, I think...
The worst?
Well, the worst, but also kind of my favorite, too.
It's so bad, it's good.
So bad,
no, I mean, it is the earliest version. It's the only one that Tolkien was, I think, around for.
Yeah, maybe.
And the only one he quote-unquote approved, although given the results, I think I know why he was so reticent and the Tolkien estate was so nervous about approving any adaptations in the future.
Yeah, this one definitely gave me perspective. I'm like, oh, that's probably why he doesn't, want to improve anything. And for all the listeners, the one we're talking about is the 1966 version of The Hobbit.
And it's a whopping 12 minutes long.
It's only 12 minutes long. And the first thing I thought when I started watching this, because I did watch the whole thing of this one, and I was like, this is trippy. It's got this like 3D, it's animated, but it's got this like 3D effect. So this would be a good one to watch after smoking some old Toby or Longbottom leaf, I think.
Yeah, a couple barrels each, perhaps. It's definitely a very distinctive 1960s art style, which is cool.
Yeah, I like the art style.
For some like non-traditional interpretations of the characters, for good and bad, but mostly bad.
Yeah, I mean, I forget the director.
Oh.
I forget the name.
May his name never be recorded in history.
Don't need to know. But yeah, he definitely took a lot of liberties, I suppose, with like the names of the characters. Like Smaug the dragon was named Slag.
Yeah, and there's no real dwarves.
No, there's no dwarves at all. It's just Gandalf, Bilbo. Thorin Oakenshield is a man of Dale, and then a princess.
There's a princess for no reason other than, we digress. Like, it's short, it's weird. You can totally watch it on YouTube. It exists out there.
Yeah, please do.
But this version of Gollum, for the few minutes he's in it, not even seconds.
It's like 30 seconds maximum that Gollum is in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
His name is not Gollum.
How is it, Angela?
Gollum.
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 We're going a little European here with the pronunciation. Yeah.
And they put no effort into sounding.
I think they put negative effort
into, like, everybody knows how Gollum sounds in The Lord of the Rings. It's got this hissy quality to it. Yeah. And this is not at all. It's just Gollum. Like, that's really how it sounds.
Yeah, it's like he's just talking, but mispronouncing a few words here and there.
Yeah. And kind of like a ghost in a way. He's kind of got this, ooh.
Yeah, like spooky. We'll have to put a photo up on the website and the YouTube to kind of give you guys an idea of what we're talking about here. It's like this little off-white furry shape with long arms and kind of a cartoonish face.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, there's not much. He's like a little furball.
He's kind of like a furball. And I think he's sitting in a boat.
A much too small boat.
Yeah, like his legs are really sticking out of it. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen the little cartoon Salad Fingers. This was like an early 2000s thing on the internet.
But
yeah, the face of Gollum definitely reminds me of Salad Fingers. It reminds me of oil pastels, especially looking at this version of Gollum here. Like, he's not fully opaque. It's a black background.
Yeah.
You can kind of see through him in a way, which is hard to describe, but, you know, we'll post
the ghosty vibe, though.
Ghosty vibe, yeah. And even the cartoon itself has all these layers, but it gives kind of a drawing type feel to it, I think. I liked the style of it.
Just nothing else.
It was very short. Yeah, apparently, so this guy, he got the rights from Tolkien, and then in theory, it was going to be a full-length film, but apparently he ran out of money. And then, I guess he looked at the contract and was like, well, he never specified how long the movie needs to be. So he kind of threw together in 12 minutes
a masterpiece.
No, really.
It's Gene Deitch. He's the one that wrote and directed this, and there was another gentleman who produced. But even the way they interpreted The Hobbit, and it's like Bilbo is just like an English gentleman with it looks like hot glue guns from fur to the top of his feet.
Yes. Also, I gotta say, poor Bilbo, because some of the stuff happens like, it's not 12 dwarves, but it's Gandalf and the princess and the Oakenshield, and they're eating all of his food. And Gandalf is like, yep, you're coming. You're not, got no choice. But not just that he has to come steal the Arkenstone. Gandalf says he has to kill the dragon.
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure.
Although, it makes you wonder why he wants to use the ring, right? Like, and they also say they take an interesting direction with the scene with Bilbo and Gollum down in the cave for all of the 30 seconds of
Literally
it,
30 seconds.
where it's like the ring has chosen its new bearer in Bilbo. Like, they make it very explicit that the ring chose him as the next true owner of it.
Right. It's like meant to be type of thing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Bilbo puts it on, he's like flying out of the cave.
Well, he apparently knew the way out. He's just like, and he leaves the cave. And it's like, oh, okay.
Where he doesn't quite fly out, but it's like, and he, he's just
runs
like running up
and leaves the cave. Yeah.
So there's no riddles in the dark.
No, we miss all the fun parts. It's a weird one. Definitely check it out.
Also, Bilbo gets a wife at the end.
I have thoughts on
with
that.
The princess.
The princess is Bilbo's new wife, who's not
Love
a dwarf.
Definitely watch it. It's out there. It's trippy.
Yeah.
But worth the 12 minutes.
It's worth a weird 12 minutes of your day if you've got nothing else to do. And like I said, it's other than the written word, it is the first visual representation of Gollum to exist in the universe. Maybe other than some sketches that Tolkien or folks have done in terms of like an official production. This is it. And it is.
I'm glad they didn't take much, if anything, from that version.
No,
for any subsequent versions.
It's a swing and a miss. We just pretend. I think there's a reason a lot of people don't know it exists.
Yeah, it's never mentioned.
We shall never speak of that again.
Right. But I'm glad that I saw it.
I'm glad you finally saw it, and we can share in our misery together about why it exists. Well, I will say this as a parting thought. Obviously, I'd love to hear listeners' thoughts on once they watch it. For me, it's great to see that this was sort of the beginning of the interest in Tolkien's works really taking off and folks wanting to produce it, because you'll see in the next decade, in the 70s, we get a whole host of productions. So this is sort of the beginning of Tolkien becoming the phenomenon he was in the 70s and 80s.
So I got to give it credit for that. So that brings us to the next version.
Yeah.
Which I have as the 1977 version of The Hobbit.
Yes, the 1977 Hobbit. We
also animated.
Also animated. There are a lot of great cartoons in the 70s. It's also interesting, like, this is actually the studio that eventually became Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I actually like the next ones we're about to talk about. Look, the visuals on this one, Gollum doesn't look like a hobbit.
He looks like a depressed turtle.
He looks like Littlefoot from The Land Before Time.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like anything that used to be vaguely humanoid.
No.
It's a choice.
He looks definitely more reptile, like either a frog or a turtle or a dinosaur, like you said.
So in terms of the visuals, maybe not the most
it's also green.
book accurate. It's kind of like this greenish gray, but
yeah.
like he hasn't seen the sun in a couple hundred years, so I can't.
Fair, yeah.
I can't critique his skin condition at this point in time. But this one, I'd love to hear your thoughts, Angela, because for me, this version of Gollum can come across as monotone and kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
But to me, it's kind of an interesting take because it's like Gollum is depressed. Like he's been down in this cave for
fair.
Gosh knows how long, floating around on his island, eating fishes or whatever gross orcs happen to come by. He's bored out of his mind. You kind of get this like, ugh, I'm so over it. Like when Bilbo interrupts him in this version, he's just kind of like, fine. And he's just like depressed and comes over from his island. Like nothing, everything sucks. It's like Gollum is just so over it. And Bilbo woke him from years of depression and slumber.
That's definitely what I took away from him as well. Mm-hmm. I think they first show Gollum in the cave like catching a fish. Mm-hmm. And he's in his little boat thing or something. And his eyes are half shut. He's just like...
His eyes are like constantly droopy.
Yeah, he doesn't look evil at all. It's just,
it's like I don't even want to bother with this. Why? There's noises down here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an interesting take.
He looks like a depressed turtle.
Yeah, he is very much a depressed turtle. Eyes half shut.
He at least starts out saying "my precious" a ton. That was one of the things I noted. I was like, dang, he's like really about the precious.
It's not just that he's saying it. To me, it comes across as he's having a one-way dialogue with the ring. Like he's almost like addressing it. Yeah. Like, my precious, my precious. Like, he's like talking to the ring. He's not getting anything back, obviously, unless it's in his head. But the audience doesn't hear it.
That makes sense.
But to me, it's like he's trying to talk to the precious. And what do you think, precious? And my precious, and precious this. And now we have to deal with this thing, precious.
Right. Like, I did note that he has way less inflection in this one.
Yeah.
Until later. Because I think I didn't watch the whole movie of this one, but... The longer I watched, I realized that he does start having a little bit more emotion and inflection as it goes on.
Yeah.
And I liked that his voice was like deep and raspy. Like I thought in a good way overall, once he got over the initial depression.
Yeah, it's a good voice acting choice, I think. I would say we wouldn't know whether the more animated portrayal was a conscious choice? Like, is it now that Gollum's interacting with another living thing that's not a fish or an orc, it's like it starts to bring back more animation? Or is it just the voice direction they gave the actor and they're like, hey man, be more animated with your lines in later take? Who knows?
I don't know. I may have to watch it again more closely. But yeah, I like to think that, like you said, he's been in a cave alone.
Yeah.
Nothing but the fish and his precious.
Yeah, he's super emo.
Yeah, so emo.
Like, his fishes and I don't want to bother. Like, he doesn't even have a routine. He probably doesn't have a sense of like...
He's just like listlessly like in his boat.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, here's a fish.
Like a sensory deprivation chamber, but at the bottom of the Misty Mountains. Maybe. Right. It's like, I have very distinct memories of watching this one as a kid and finding him a little unnerving. Like, I think the reptilian look is an interesting choice if you really want him to come across as not quite human. Like, we're just going to visually make him look not human. Full stop.
Right. Yeah. And I guess even the Gollum that we know from Peter Jackson's films, like he looks very un-Hobbit-like at the time we see him.
So it's vaguely alien.
Yeah, like this version that's so much more, even more reptilian looking. I don't know. I don't see Hobbit in there at all at this point.
No, there's no glimmerings. This one is so far removed from looking anything remotely like a Hobbit.
Definitely went hard on the creature side of Gollum.
And again, maybe that's the direction. Maybe that's the choice. They're like, this guy is so corrupted and has had the ring for so long. He shouldn't even look like an early version of a gangly Hobbit. He looks completely different.
Well, then even the very next year, so that was 1977, The Hobbit. And then the very next year is the 1978 Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they were cranking them out back then.
Yeah, and which is also animated.
Yes.
And was this is a different director or?
Yes, this was Ralph Bakshi. So basically this 1978 Lord of the Rings is sandwiched between the 1977 Hobbit and the 1980 Return of the King. I think the same studio did The Hobbit and The Return of the King, and this other studio did The Lord of the Rings, which is basically the Fellowship of the Ring into part of the Two Towers, and it does like half of the books.
So they do all kind of go together, even though it was different, like directors
and studios like doing the
Gotcha.
animation. So the art styles are very, very different. I really like this version. It has some issues, but overall, I think it's a really cool take.
Well, this version of Gollum, like you said, is totally different from that previous 1977 animated version. I think we both agree it looks visually very similar to the Gollum that we know from Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I think this one, to me, in rewatching it recently, a couple things, right? It's definitely the most reminiscent of Andy Serkis's portrayal. So I think there's some...
He's like skinnier, kind of more human.
Yeah,
looking.
very scraggly. He's got the little like weird loincloth.
Right.
He looks like a proto version of Andy Serkis's Hobbit. His voice, his mannerisms, he's very like pitiable, but also he switches back between the voices. So this was an interesting one because it's not just straight animation. They did this really unique thing for the time, which is called rotoscoping, where basically they would film live footage and then trace the live footage to do the animated sequences.
Oh, no way.
So you have like real actors portraying these characters, and they're basically tracing over the live film, so it looks kind of like this in between. It's not quite live film, it's not quite cartoon, but they had real actors like playing Aragorn and the Hobbits and all the characters.
Very cool, actually.
Yeah, but for the character who's playing Gollum in this, which is it Peter Woodthorpe? I remember this one because
that name sounds familiar.
John Hurt, who's a very famous British actor, played Aragorn, and he's famous for this film because that rotoscoping technique I just mentioned. There's a famous scene where Aragorn is running, and I think it's when Legolas and Gimli go to chase Merry and Pippin and the orcs at the beginning of the Two Towers. When they were recording the live action film, John Hurt tripped and fell. And they kept that in the animation.
Oh, wait, I've seen
so
this.
They just animated him tripping over
which is hilarious.
Sword.
Yeah.
They're like, we're just going to...
I saw a clip of that, actually.
It's amazing. And I don't know if it's a budget thing or like the animators thought it was hilarious. They're like, well, we're going to leave that
I'm glad they
in.
kept it. I thought it was awesome.
Yes. So...
They're bound to trip.
Yeah. You can
some
see
point.
it, like his like fake sword like catches between his legs and sent him going forward. So I'm trying to find... Yeah, so Peter Woodthorpe. So it is the same. The reason this one stuck out to me is the voice actor and presumably motion capture, like very, very early motion capture through the rotoscope actor in this 1978 one is Peter Woodthorpe, who then reprised his role and honestly refined it a bit for the very famous 1981 BBC radio play, which we'll get to. So
cool. Okay.
He did both versions of these, and his 1981 is actually my favorite Gollum. But let's assume that he was like acting out the things. There's very clearly some stuff that Andy Serkis copied, like the way Gollum paws at like Frodo and Sam's shoulder, or even when they tie the elven rope to him, the way he like writhes around on the ground, like burns us.
It almost seemed like a version of Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Like they made the Gollums visually very similar. And like I said, the mannerisms I saw just
are there.
Yeah. Similarity was there.
It makes me sad that this studio didn't actually do the follow-on Return of the King, because I think the continuity would have been really interesting.
Yeah, having it in the middle, and then we'll talk about the next one that's back to the Turtle Gollum. But
the Turtle Gollum.
I wanted to mention, though, that this 1978 version of Gollum, I felt the most pity for this version, especially that scene where he was writhing on the ground with the elven rope.
Yeah.
I was like, geez, Frodo and Sam, like, take it off of him. Yeah, it's such a jerk.
Can't you see the guy who's suffering?
I was like, don't you see him? Something about the voice, and I think it was partly the voice, because this voice of Gollum wasn't as scary to me. It was like a higher pitch and sounded more scared than anything. So I think that added to the pity factor for me.
I agree with you. He very much plays up the starving, pitiable angle, both in like the motions and the voice portrayal in this one. He's definitely less menacing. Like I think to me, the scene that really was a contrast both to Peter Woodthorpe's portrayal in the 1981 BBC radio play, but then Andy Serkis later on in the actual Peter Jackson films, is the scene where Gollum is basically like, we'll take them to Shelob, like she'll deal with them. And I think in the later versions, Gollum is very much like, yeah, we're going to take him to Shelob and she's going to sort this out. And it's very menacing and calculated almost.
Right.
Whereas in this version, like it's like it doesn't really seem like he's plotting. He's just like, well, I guess we could take him to Shelob. Like it's almost like Smeagol's
on the way.
resigned. It doesn't seem very evil and calculated in the way it is in later portrayals, right? And he definitely doesn't. I think he does less of the bipolar extremes between Smeagol and Gollum. Like it's just kind of him talking, and he mentions Smeagol and Gollum, but it doesn't seem like so extreme between the two.
Actually, I agree. Like, I didn't really notice in a lot of these earlier versions, like that dual personality thing going on.
It's just kind of him talking and being weird, but it's not amped up the extreme between these two different characters fighting it out in his head necessarily.
Yeah. Totally agree there.
I like, shout out, I really like the 1978 Lord of the Rings Gollum. Like, as a kid, that was, I mean, he looks almost like a little undead zombie the way they've animated him. And he's all gray, much like in the Peter Jackson films.
Yeah. Like I said, much more human, although I'm seeing his hands are so, like, his fingers are so long.
His hands are the size of, like, his entire femur bone. Like, the proportions are what they are. You can definitely see the influence this one had on Peter Jackson and Andy Serkis. Like,
for sure.
And Grant Major, the art director for the Peter Jackson films. Like, I think they are all of an age where they probably saw this as, like, kids or teenagers.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then that brings us back to the 1980
Return of the Turtle Gollum.
The Turtle Gollum, which I don't have a lot to say about this one besides the fact that it's back to the Turtle Gollum, and I'm really glad that they didn't go with this one.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, it's this weird froggy turtle thing. Maybe it's some of the same animators who worked on Land Before Time. Who knows? Like, maybe I need to look that up.
It's like, that's how they'd go draw faces.
But they basically went back to this previous group of animators and studios.
No, this one is green. Like,
he's straight up green.
His eyes are green. He's two shades of green. Yeah, he's a frog.
He's a frog. He's a turtle. He's amphibian. He's not a hobbit. He's not any semblance of a hobbit. You know, it's there. It fills the Gollum bit in the movie, but it's just, it's such a contrast to the 1978 that it kind of depressed me when I was a kid, I thought that this one was done by the same studio. And I was like, I was like, what am I watching? This is not the same.
That makes a lot more sense because I was like, why did they do just The Hobbit and then Return of the King? But the fact that they have that 1978 version that's meant to go along with it, it's just, definitely throws you off with the different Gollums a little. But I do recommend watching all of them. I
the original trilogy, because it is kind of a trilogy, right? If you watch The Hobbit, the first Lord of the Rings, and then the Return of the King.
And I need to sit down and watch all of these. I've definitely watched parts of them. I want to watch the whole thing now.
Yeah, it's worth a trip. Like, it's not as good. And it's also back to, like, straight 3D animation. I don't think they did any of that really, really early rotoscope motion capture stuff for this one.
Oh, for the 1980?
For the 1980 Return of the King.
Right,
yeah. I think Gollum is just straight.
That's really cool about the, what did you call it?
Rotoscope,
Rotoscope. Yeah, when I watch it again, I'm going to keep that in mind because that's really cool.
Yeah,
I never heard of that.
Very obvious. It's just like, oh, that's a dude on a horse. They barely painted over, but you know. It's cool. It was very groundbreaking for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Should we talk about the Russian versions?
Oh, okay. I was going to say the BBC radio adaptation is technically next.
Oh, it is, actually. Don't let me skip over my favorite one.
I know.
How dare I?
I was like, are we saving it for last?
No. No, this one deserves the whole segment. But I know for Gollum, like, I love this Gollum. Peter Woodthorpe.
This is the one that got us into this episode. Yeah. Almost.
I think I played you the clip. I'm like, you think Andy Serkis is cool? Well, listen to this old thing from the 80s because I'm old. It's Peter Woodthorpe, who's a British actor and voice actor, and he did, like I said, the Gollum in the 1978 animated version, and then he was brought back to reprise his role for this 1981 BBC radio play.
Which I did listen to all of this. This was fantastic.
It's incredible. This is the thing that I told you that got me into all the songs and stuff, too.
Yes, because they do actually sing them all.
Mm-hmm.
They're not exactly the same as the Lord of the Rings movies, but who cares? They were still great.
This came out first, so you can say the Lord of the Rings movies aren't the same as this.
I should. And actually, there weren't even a lot of overlap. I'd say the BBC radio adaptation sang a lot of the songs that were not in the Lord of the Rings. If you want representations of some of those songs that are in the books, but not the Lord of the Rings movies, you'll find them in here.
Well, and this one at the time had the luxury, it had a full cast. Mm-hmm. It's got Ian Holm, who plays, of course,
he's Frodo.
Bilbo in the movies is Frodo in this, and he is spectacular.
Absolutely.
And a bunch of other, like, top tier voice actors. But this one, because it was a radio play in series, it's like 12 or 13 episodes. 13. So it's 13 hours of stuff. So they cover a lot of the original dialogue, all the songs. Like, they barely change anything because they had the time and space to...
Yeah, I mean, they cut out some of the same things that were in... or that were not in the Lord of the Rings. No Tommy Bombs or the Barrow Downs. But they did put in the scoring of the Shire. Mm-hmm. It was maybe a little shorter, but it was still in there.
Yeah, and like you said, they kept a lot of the songs. Like, they had them straight up singing. And
it was like I was watching the movies, but over the radio. And I mean, the lines from both, you can tell that both the BBC radio edition and The Lord of the Rings got so many of their lines from the books.
Yes.
And so in that way, I feel like they were both great adaptations of the book because...
when the source material is that good, it's...
Yeah, I mean...
Other than, I'm looking at you, 1966
It was like
edition,
they copied
it's hard
each other.
to mess it up. Yeah.
But they copied the books.
They copied the books. That's why they sound...
Which is why we love... Well, that's why we love the movies. And that's why I also love this radio edition.
Yeah, it says a lot that the source material is so fantastic that you get these very distinct but also similar portrayals of all the characters, but especially Gollum. Like, so Peter Woodthorpe in this is, I remember listening to it as a kid, and this was the first time I think Gollum really scared me.
Yeah.
And seemed a little unhinged. And he does this like hissing thing that you mentioned that's like almost like a...
He sounds like a vampire to me.
He sounds like a sassy vampire, but it really throws you off because he'll be in the middle of a sentence and he'll just do it, and it almost makes you jump because you're not expecting it.
Yeah, that was probably my first reaction. I loved his voice acting in this. I think you're right that I felt like if I was going to be stuck in a room with two versions of Gollum, this BBC version scared me more. I was like, this guy, is unhinged. I don't want to be anywhere near him. And it was, it's hard to describe.
He's able to sound dangerous and unstable and pitiable and all the things you get from reading the book all through his voice acting without even seeing him, which is really shout out to Peter Woodthorpe. Like, it is
absolutely,
it's a spectacular
But he
performance.
Did make me laugh though when he did his little thing, and
it's his little. He had to have something that make it his own. I guess that's his little take on.
I loved it, but it also kept making me smile, and I was like, I know that that's maybe the opposite of what he was going for, but he's basically, it's his version of Gollum's hiss or something.
Yeah, he made it a little bit more, I think, aggressive. And I mean, I love this version. I love this version so much. It is nuanced. It's menacing. He sounds, I think he did a good job also sounding like something that could have been a Hobbit before. Because he keeps his British accent, obviously, but the way he even delivers his lines feels like this could have been like a proto-Hobbit. He does a lot of the talking to himself. And one of the things I really appreciated in this performance and interpretation of Gollum is when I listen to it, his Smeagol voice sounds, how do I say it? It sounds genuinely caught off guard by the evil Gollum side.
Oh, okay.
Like the way he plays between the two sides, like the Smeagol
dang,
voice
dude.
is like, wow, that's what? No. And then the Gollum voice is like, yeah, we're doing the thing. But like the way he's able to play up the tension between those two different kind of competing forces inside Smeagol's head is really interesting to me. And again, all through voice acting.
Yeah. And so I guess this might be the first version that really played up the like two sides of Gollum
in like a very distinct. He uses different tone and cadence, and when he's doing the different voices, and you can hear him kind of bouncing back and forth, much like Andy Serkis was definitely influenced by for his performance. Where
I was going to say, I think Andy Serkis has said at some point that he based at least some of his performance on this version, which you can definitely tell
because it's spectacular.
It is. So combine this BBC radio edition Gollum with a cat.
And you get
and then you get Andy Serkis.
Well, you know, the cat one is really funny to me because it says a lot about how different cats are, that Andy Serkis said he based his performance of Gollum off of a cat.
At least the hairball part.
The hairball part of it. And then Orlando Bloom said he based his performance of Legolas on a cat.
Oh, yeah.
And
like
their movements
nimble
and stuff. So it's like cats are just all over the place.
And
right?
it's so funny when I think it was you that told me that Tolkien didn't even like cats.
It's fine. Do I think he was wrong? Absolutely.
As cat people.
As cat people, I have thoughts. But it's like little Gollum hiss. So yes, if you have a cool 13 hours.
Which, I just listened to it going to and from work. And luckily I have a job that's very podcast friendly. So
amazing.
Check it out. Knocked it out in a week.
Check out the 1981 BBC radio play.
Please do.
Spectacular. It will probably make you rethink Andy Serkis's performance. And like, all credit to Andy Serkis. He did an amazing job, but it's good to know where he's drawing this from because he obviously wasn't the first person to portray Gollum. And I think for better or worse, there's a lot of people whose first introduction was seeing the Peter Jackson films. And they're like, oh my gosh, like this is the most epic performance of Gollum. And I'm like, you gotta
hear this one too.
Gotta learn you some history on this one to see where Andy Serkis was influenced by, but it's
because I still I don't know, Andy Serkis still might win out for me, but at the same time, I did love this 1981
Interesting.
BBC. Yeah.
I think I really appreciate Andy Serkis's physical acting and mocap, but to me, and maybe it's because I heard the 1981 BBC radio one first.
It does, I think, depend on what you hear first.
Yeah. Andy Serkis's voice to me, come at me, it's okay if you disagree, is too cartoonish for me.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
It is. Like, I'm not going to do the voice right now because I can mimic him.
Do it.
No.
You do it so good.
But like, it's that back of the throat cartoony, stupid fat hobbitses, right? Like it's,
yes,
you can do it. You can mimic it. And maybe because it was easier on his throat. I don't know. Like, I'm sure it's a choice for sure. But
I feel like I remember hearing something how he constantly had to drink this drink to like coat his throat.
Yeah.
Because
he was
I think
destroying his voice doing that voice. But like, to me, the Peter Woodthorpe 1981 is the epitome of Gollum because it's menacing and evil, and it's not quite so. It feels more realistic, if I can say that.
It is more human-like, or I guess Hobbit-like in a way, but very evil, especially the Gollum side. So I do agree with if you're going for scary, then definitely that version.
Yeah. But, and it's a choice, too, to, like, how much do you play up?
It's like serial killer. I don't know. Maybe not serial killer, but...
He's a murderer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it gave me this, I don't know. It was, the creepy factor was high.
Chills. And, like, it really comes across on the audio. Sorry, I don't know how to... I
can't find the words to describe it. Just go listen to it.
Yeah, just go listen to it. It's great. It's amazing. It's completely different to our next couple. I was like, we should just lump the next three together, honestly.
I think you're right, because please don't watch these, or maybe do, but I personally have not seen these all the way, and I don't know if I can.
I don't know if it's worth a sit. Like, look, if you got a lot of time on your hands, or you're a big fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000, maybe it'll be fun for you. But there's basically a series of a couple interpretations that happen in the late 80s and the early 90s. The first two are Soviet, right? So there's a 1985 Russian Hobbit, and there's a 1991 Russian Lord of the Rings called Hraniteli, which is Keepers. The Keepers. Like, they had to come up with their own title. And I don't know if that's because of a translation thing or not. Funny enough, somewhere I have a Soviet edition of this sitting in my library that I bought when I was in Russia many, many moons ago. But
let's watch.
Oh, no, like the book. The text
book.
Written in Russian.
Well, these guys,
I mean, they're low budget.
Low budget for sure. They're not, they're live action.
They are live action. So these are not cartoons.
They're actors. They're just guys with green face paint and Spanish moss.
They like threw some, I don't know, like weird, they like glued some stuff to these guys' head, put a skull cap on, painted them green. Like the one in the 1985 Russian Hobbit kind of looks like a sad orc. I don't know how to describe him.
Well, he's got two little fang teeth coming out, and
but
then
like in different directions.
Yeah, I know. And then he also had like fins on his head.
Yeah,
did you see that?
Yeah, it's like very Aquaman vibes. Like they made him reptilian again.
I was going to say this is like a live action version of the turtle version of Gollum.
Maybe. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, they didn't really play up their voices at all in these either. Not really.
They're just like delivering the lines.
It was like kind of two guys talking, but in weird costumes.
And then the 1991 Soviet Lord of the Rings, Hraniteli. Yeah, they like glued some Spanish moss to the guy and painted him green and sent him on his way. Like, there's not. It's
great.
I mean, it's tough with live action, obviously, because makeup and special effects have
very low budget.
A very long way in the last 30, 40 years. So, and this is
but this was low budget for even 1990.
Yeah, this is like just before the fall of the Soviet Union. So I don't know how much the art department was getting.
Fair. See, you know more of the history.
But they're like, it's cool. So there is a huge cult following of these books in Russia. Like, there's even a guy who wrote a book. Like, I don't agree with it, but there's a guy a Russian author, who wrote a version of Lord of the Rings from Sauron's perspective.
Okay.
I don't recommend it. Well,
I was about to go read.
It is called, I always forget it, the last ring bearer. Hold on.
I may have heard of this, like the Lord of the Rings from the perspective of
so it's called The Last Ring Bearer. I was trying to remember the Russian, but I'm not gonna. Posledny Koltsenosiets. That's fine. My Russian's really rusty these days. Came out in 1999. I'm slight tangent here, but this it's a parallel account and kind of an informal sequel to Lord of the Rings. It's been translated into English, but the translation hasn't officially been printed because of fear of copyright stuff from the Tolkien estate. So like it exists, but not it officially. Is not sanctioned by the Tolkien estates. And it's an interesting take on it because it's basically Mordor's perspective. And
I think I've heard of this. Unless there's more than one version of this.
Yeah.
I've heard of it and I should check it out.
It retells it from the perspective and this has nothing to do with Gollum really, but it's basically like, it's from the perspective of the bad guys and hypes up like totalitarianism and, industry and coming up with this like techno-autocratic state. And it's interesting because it's almost like you guys just misunderstand Sauron and he's just trying to build a technologically advanced super society. And like, obviously that's not the case. Like he is still the bad guy.
Yeah.
But there's a couple famous people who I will not name on this podcast that exist today that have actually cited this book as an inspiration to their technological advances in society. You're free to Google it, look it up. But there are definitely some billionaires out there have been like, oh, this is a great interpretation.
Oh, gosh,
I think you guys missed the point of this book.
Oh,
anyway,
no.
But needless to say, like...
That is the version that I think I've heard about. And I will still check it out because I'm curious. But
yeah, like
not with the perspective of like, this is how it should be.
But there's just like, there's a lot of like, the book is really like, not just this book, but Lord of the Rings and Tolkien is very, very popular in Russia. So it's cool to see that even as the Soviet Union was about to fall, they were cranking out adaptations because that's what the people wanted and demanded, even if it's a weird green Spanish moss-covered Gollum.
I mean, check it out. Whether or not you can make it through the whole thing, I don't know. But
if you can, let us know. I struggle. Like I'll watch clips on YouTube, but that's about as far as I can.
Yeah,
I can stomach it. And then
there's the
1993 Finnish Lord of the Rings. Hobbit is what it's called. Hobbit. I don't speak Finnish, so I cannot, I know I'm butchering that.
So was it was the Lord of the Rings,
yes.
Though. Okay.
But they called it Hobbit.
Gotcha.
And I don't know why.
There's hobbitits in it.
Yes. It's live action. It is also low budget. Maybe slightly more of a budget than the Soviet ones.
From what I saw of it, I liked it better than the Soviet ones. Mostly because at least what I saw of the Soviet ones, they were just sitting in chairs.
Yeah.
And not a lot of like movement going on.
You don't like your like 1980s office chairs dialogue between,
And Bilbo the Bilbo representation was just, it was like a white and red striped shirt. And he's just sitting on a stool. Anyway.
The costumes department. But yeah, the Finnish one at least has a premise where they set it up and there's this like village storyteller that's basically telling the story of the Lord of the Rings to the village children at the beginning. So he's telling them basically the Red Book of Westmarch. Like he's
kind of reminded me of The Princess Bride with the grandpa reading the story to the...
Same.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
But the Finnish one is interesting though, because again, if you look at influences for Peter Jackson and his whole team and Andy Serkis, the Finnish one has a narrator, much like the opening of Peter Jackson's Return of the King, describing Gollum's discovery of the ring and his fall and his transition into the creature he is today. And
it was very similar transition, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's the same. They show him in Diagal, they show him killing Deagle, and they show him starting to wander, and they have these like cut to him looking a little bit more alien, cut to his hair not
less hair,
cut to him being more green and crazy, so that he kind of fades into Gollum. And again, with lower budget, less special effects, but the effect that they're going for is exactly what they did at the opening of Return of the King for Peter Jackson, where they show Gollum's kind of descent into the creature Gollum.
I liked the transition that they did. But when I was watching the very end of Lord of the Rings, where, Frodo is at Mount Doom, and then Gollum like bites his finger and has the ring for himself. And when I was watching all that scene, I was like, first of all, this Gollum is very muscular.
Yeah, I wouldn't take him in a fight.
well fed. Like
not starving.
He's not the starving Gollum.
Fish reserve somewhere,
right? That guy has been eating his fish. But then he falls into the volcano, and I just had to laugh because there is so many different types of fire images.
Yes,
to like represent the blowing up of.
In case you weren't clear that there's fire,
like there's some lava flow, and then like this just regular old explosion that they inserted in there, and I was like, this is great.
I like whoever the director was, like, no, put an explosion there. No, more explosions. No, more explosions. We need it really dramatic. Like, they did all the things. All the fire. I mean, it's a dramatic scene. It gets to Gollum's ultimate fate, and as Gandalf said, he may have some part to play before the end, and he does.
It's great. Also, the music, it sounds like a single electronic keyboard is playing all the music.
It sounds like a single electronic keyboard for like the beta version of Law and Order. Like it's like boom, 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 boom. Like it's a procedural. I don't know what they were going for. It's no Howard Shore, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. It deserves a mention. I have one more on the list that I highly recommend that everybody see it. It's 2005.
Okay.
So this came after, I think, all the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Still early 2000s. I totally missed this until doing this research, but it's called The Hunt for Gollum. And as we know, there is a Hunt for Gollum movie coming out soon. What, 2027?
That's the plan.
Hopefully. But yeah, so this was a fan film. It's about 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
So totally doable. Honestly, really well done.
I've seen clips from it. It looks really well produced. I love how like Peter Jackson...
Like, for a low budget film, this was good.
Like, no, it's quite good. Like I feel kind of bad like that Andy Serkis is just stealing their title for his film that he's making, but it's a good title. It is. I don't know if they talk to each other at all, or if they just stole it, but it's basically just 40 minutes of Aragorn hunting Gollum. And I guess, let's see, this is timing-wise for Aragorn meets the hobbits in Bree. Yeah, this is like the time where Gandalf's
like side quest
for like 17 years after Bilbo's party. Like, we're going at the timeline of the books.
That's right. So Bilbo had the party where Gandalf is like, hey, you've got a weird ring.
Don't trust it.
Don't trust it. I got to go and figure out what's going on with this.
Yeah,
and so Gandalf takes off, and Frodo's just living his life in the Shire.
Yeah, having a great old time.
So Gandalf goes off to try to figure out what's going on.
Yes.
Where is Gollum exactly in this?
I don't know if he's... At some point, he gets captured by Mordor, but at some point... So he's made his way out of the Misty Mountains. He's trying to find Bilbo. He's wandering around. And at some point, I think Gandalf and Aragorn try to figure out where he is, and they're not able to get him. And I don't know if he evades their capture. They just don't know where he is, whatever.
Like,
Gollum gets captured by Mordor.
Yeah. So are they already looking for Gollum when he gets captured by Mordor? Or
my interpretation, at least, is Gandalf and Aragorn were looking for Gollum, and they knew that potentially he had knowledge that could be dangerous. And the enemy, Sauron and Mordor, capture Gollum before Aragorn and Gandalf are able to get him.
Yeah.
And I remember I think it's in the appendices, Gandalf was there to help for some of the search. And then at some point he peels off and he's like, Aragorn, I gotta go sort this out with the hobbits. You got this? You good?
Right.
And Aragorn is the one that actually finishes it, and he goes through the dead marshes. He's able to capture Gollum after Gollum is released by Mordor, which means Aragorn's like hanging out by himself on the edge of Mordor, which is insane.
Yeah.
And, a testament to his skill as a ranger. But yes, it sounds like the plan was like Gandalf knew something was up. He's like, we gotta find Gollum. Crap. Sauron's got him. Now we really got to find Gollum.
Yeah. So, like, in this little fan film, that pretty much tracks for the most part. Like, at the end, when Aragorn, like, has Gollum, I think he meets with Gandalf and is basically telling Gandalf, like, the Nine are out. Like, he encounters at least one of the Nazgul in this. Gandalf is pretty much like, I got to go do some stuff. Meet the hobbits in Bree. So, like, at the end, it's basically like Aragorn's going to wait for the hobbits in Bree.
Yeah, here's our backup plan if you don't hear from me by... I mean, that's smart. At least he has some planning there.
So I liked how they tied it kind of back in.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm assuming, what they're going to show. Timing-wise, that's where it lines up.
And that sounds like that's going to be the plot of the new movie that Andy Serkis is directing and starring in. For the fan-made edit, though, Angela, how do they portray Gollum?
So, yeah, you don't actually see a lot. Gollum is in a sack for 95% of it. But you do see him in the very beginning. They have him like crawling kind of on all fours from far away, and it is CGI. There maybe was a person doing that they... I'm not really sure how they did it. But then at the very end, they show his face. Aragorn is starting to interrogate him, I think. And then you see Gollum's face. And it is CGI. But they did a good job. And it looks very similar to Andy Serkis's Gollum. Visually very same. And even the voice, it's different, but they were going basically for Andy Serkis's style of Gollum.
Interesting. Wait, no, I just realized something. I think I messed up my timeline because at least how Gandalf recounts it in the appendices and or in the Lord of the Rings books, he had already interrogated Gollum, who after being captured by Aragorn was brought to the woodland elves and Legolas's dad Thranduil in the woodland realm. And Gandalf has already had a chance to interrogate him before he pieces off to... That's right. Okay, now I'm remembering.
Which I think that still lines up.
Yeah, but he doesn't go back to like, Frodo, you need to get the heck out of Dodge until he's had a chance to interrogate Gollum and find out exactly what Gollum told the bad guys.
Right.
So he does piece off at some point to like leave Aragorn to finish capturing him, but then at some point Gandalf meets back up with Aragorn.
Yeah.
And is like, we need to interrogate this dude to figure out how much damage he's done.
Yeah. So at the very end of this hunt for Gollum, they're doing the interrogation scene.
Cool.
Or it's about to happen.
Which, slight tangent, is one of my favorite things that they did not put in the films. Not the interrogation itself, but the fact that by the time of the Council of Rivendell, the Council of Elrond at Rivendell, as far as Gandalf and Aragorn are aware, Gollum is still being held by the elves in the woodland realm.
Right.
And Legolas...
He's like, oh, by the way...
Legolas is sent to the council not because he had a vision or not because he's here to join a quest, but because his dad's like, we made an oopsie, and you need to go tell these people that Gollum got out. Like, Legolas
and I forget,
there to deliver bad news.
No, it was Treebird that let Saruman go. Yes. But did the elves just let Gollum go, or did he escape?
No, he's escaped. It's said in either in the text or the appendices that it was a planned attack by the orcs. And the patrols, it's partially on Thranduil. He kind of messed up because Gollum was supposed to be kept in a cell in their underground city. And they felt bad for him.
That's right.
So they start letting him out on walks, under patrol, under guard, still tied up, but they let him get some fresh air. And apparently the servants of the Dark Lord get wind of the fact that he is being brought out of their underground city every so often and plan a raid specifically to set him free.
That's right.
So it is a concerted effort by
we lost him.
Yeah, but Legolas isn't there because he's had some noble vision and knows about the ring. He's like, about Gollum, we kind of messed up on that one. And it's great because like Aragorn and Gandalf at the council are like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean
we did all that work to catch that guy.
You let him go. Right. You let him get it. You let him get tangent. But like, I do like that bit in the books where they're like, what do you mean he's...
Yeah.
You had one job.
Right. I know.
You had one job.
Stop being so nice.
If you just kept him in, who knows? Maybe he would have been freed anyway and they would have attacked the city. But it is interesting to think about.
Would they even have, would the orcs have even known that Gollum was there if they weren't taking him out in walks?
Maybe. I think it's implied that there's enough servants or spies of the Dark Lord that kind of knew what was up.
It's like, hey, they got him.
He was in Dol Guldur before some of this, well, maybe not, he's already in Mordor by the time of this, but like, he probably still has people at his old fortress and orcs and stuff.
Oh, Sauron.
Yeah, Sauron. Yeah, so
the little outpost and more.
Yeah, they got eyes. They got eyes on the Woodland Realm, I think, regardless of Gollum being there. But I'm gonna have to actually sit down and watch it because I've seen little clips here and there, but I haven't actually watched.
Highly recommend it. Yeah, it was well acted for a low budget fan film.
Well done.
It was really good. Well done.
Yes.
That wraps up all the different versions of Gollum, at least that we know about. So.
Gollum through the ages, if you will. We got a little taste of him from the early 1966, whatever that version we can call it. I can't give it any praise. I apologize if there are fans of it, but to a love letter to the fandom, which is The Hunt for Gollum, where they felt the need to kind of tell that untold part of the journey. And
I'm excited to see the probably very long version.
Yes, but 3 hours. Who knows?
How they make that into 3 hours. I honestly would be happy if they just made it 1.5 to 2 hours.
Nice, tight hour and a half.
Short,
I'm here
sweet.
for it.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we'll leave you at part 1 of our Many Faces of Gollum, where we talked about the various interpretations of Gollum. And on our next episode, I think Angela and I are going to dive into some of the deeper moral and theological quandaries, if you will, in terms of what all this means and how Tolkien himself struggled with the character.
That sounds good to me. There's just too much Gollum.
Tolkien himself said he was the most essential character to the whole story. So the very least we can do is dedicate 2 episodes. So with that, we will see you guys next week for part 2 of the Many Faces of Gollum. If you enjoyed wandering with us today, please subscribe to Beyond the Brandywine on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can also find us on YouTube at Beyond the Brandywine. We'll be putting up visual tangents to accompany some of the podcasts, as well as recordings of the podcasts themselves.
And for even more Middle-earth musings, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Beyond the Brandywine.
Plus, find all of our links and more at beyondthebrandywine.com.
Send us your thoughts, reach out to us on socials, or email us at hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
What was that again?
hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
So, until next time,
don't be afraid to wander beyond the Brandywine.
I don't know. I was trying to make a better version of me saying Gollum.
You have to, you have to get that throat.
Do it. I don't have enough.
You're not as naturally phlegmy as me. We can't all be blessed with such phlegm.
I've failed.
That's okay. You haven't failed. Frodo failed and it worked out, so you can fail too. Gollum. I wonder. Well, it's also that the 1866 one. Like, they pronounce everything wrong.
Oh yeah,
they changed all the names. Slag the dragon. Why
Bilbo gets a wife.
Why is there a princess?
Right.
Why is also Thorin Oakenshield the commander of Dale?
Yeah, I don't think there's any dwarves because
no,
Thorin Oakenshield is actually not a dwarf in that one.
They're like, there's 3 people who survived the mountain: Thorin, this other dude, and the princess. Slag. What? No.
I love it.
I hate it. I hate it so much.